And you quickly got into facilitating big deal management buyouts and IPOs. The one that stands out for me was the CBZ IPO, if I'm not wrong, and then the Econet IPO. How much did that do to cement your name and your reputation in the market, James?
Yeah, at that time, Trev, there wasn't many merchant banks that were doing corporate finance advisory services. And this to us was a field that had little competition, and we had the skills for it. And so when Gideon Gono, who was running CBZ at the time, did the rounds at the banks, asking for somebody to help him list. And you remember the history of CBZ, it would have been Bank of Credit and Commerce.
Yeah.
And from there became Commercial Bank of Zimbabwe. And nobody wanted to touch it because of this smell that it carried regarding the Bank of Credit and Commerce. And Gideon had gotten there and he rehabilitated, or tried to rehabilitate it. But what he needed was more capital to be able to do more business. And so I think we were one of the last banks that he actually visited. And he came in and said, well, would you guys list me? I went and consulted with Julius and we agreed. And we listed them. 4 times oversubscribed, if I recall correctly. The same thing with Econet. Strive was from retrofit, from all his difficulties that he had with obtaining his license that he eventually got, and needing the capital to be able to afford to buy base stations and grow his business. And he came to us and we listed him.
And
from there,
proceed.
And from there, he's one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest companies on the stock exchange.
It must give you quite a lot of satisfaction to look back in the rear view mirror and see what represents your success. CBZ still standing there, Econet and Strive where he is, and many more others. Speak to me about building that legacy, building that reputation.
You know, we were the go-to bank. One of our philosophies was that we can't be the only success on an island. It makes sense if there's more and more such successes. We have the abilities in terms of the skills in this country. The more successful black businesses there are, the better. And we can be part of that. And so one of the other things that we used to do is, there used to be a number of people who'd come along to us who didn't have the capital, the wherewithal to be able to service the tenders that they'd got to supply such and such a thing to government or local councils, etc. And we would structure things such that we'd give them the money, paid directly to their suppliers. They'd get whatever product that they needed to then beneficiate, sell it, and their debtors were paid directly to us. We give them their profit, and we then also take back part of that loan. And we did this ad infinitum in terms of black businesses, and grew a number of black businesses, quite a number that one could name. Varichem was one of them. Varichem Laboratories. There's old age getting up with some of the names I can't remember. But there's a number of black businesses that owe their success to the fact that we were able to structure something for them right at the outset.
The other thing that happened, James, is that soon after your struggle to start NMBZ, we had other black banks coming in quick succession, and there was quite a number of them that came in and were creative, innovative, and played the kind of role that you guys played, which is essentially providing access to finance to young black people who would not ordinarily have had that opportunity because of the old white network within the banking sector. But something else then happened, and we'll get back to that. But before we do that, I wanted just to get into your listing of NMBZ in Zimbabwe in the first instance, and then on the dual listing in London and in Zimbabwe. Talk to me about that experience and the thinking behind it.
Okay, we got to the stage where, as a national merchant bank, we were not particularly competitive because of where we were able to access capital. And so our thinking was that, well, if we change our license to a retail bank, we can then access retail deposits to be able to do more business. And so we applied for and were given a commercial banking license. At that time, we'd also travel internationally looking for lines of credit. And when we got to some of these financial institutions outside the country, they'd say, well, who are you guys? We were just a local outfit. And so we said at the time, well, let's list, and at the same time, let's list in London. The reason being that getting a listing on the main board of the London Stock Exchange, you have to jump through quite a few hoops. And somebody who is able to do this and achieve that listing, that speaks volumes for you. It shows that you've got an organization in place that is properly structured, that has the right corporate governance. And so that is one of the reasons why we thought, let's list this, because of the rigor that we have to put ourselves through and the organization, the corporate governance structures, so people know that they're actually dealing with a serious outfit here, people who know what they're doing, and people who can actually be looked at on the LSE. And so we did a dual listing on the main board, well, on the ZSE, and then on the main board of the LSE at the same time. We raised £30 million. We were 4.5 times, nearly 5 times oversubscribed. And from there, when we now go to the European capitals and the banks there, and they'd say, well, who are you? We'd say, well, we are NMB. We have listed on the London Stock Exchange. And then a conversation could then start as to, well, how did you guys achieve that? You must be pretty well organized, etc. And so it became easier for us to actually raise lines of credit. And from that, we were able to do more and more business.